We all started out as strangers who the only thing we had in common was that our loved one died while at work in the World Trade Center at Cantor Fitzgerald, and we became a community.
Edie Lutnick was a labor lawyer working on the 101st floor of Tower 1 on September 11th. She did not go to work that day.
I had a meeting that was scheduled for 8:30 in the morning with the lead plaintiff on a very large case that I was working on, and he called to cancel for the following day. Howard was taking my nephew Kyle to his first day of kindergarten.
Edie and her brother Howard were not in Tower 1 that morning, but their brother Gary was. He made a phone call to Edie at 9:05 a.m.
But Howard went down to the side when he heard what happened, and he was pulling people from the building saying, you know, what floor were you on, what floor were you on?
Cantor Fitzgerald was hit hardest with almost 700 employees dying on that day. And then 3 days later, the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, Howard Lutnick, and his sister Edie, while still grieving the loss of their brother Gary, who died in the towers, decided that they weren't going to move on. They were going to move forward.
Howard called me and said, Edie, I want to do this. I need you to run it. I started thinking about all the people I thought would be better suited to do this, and they were all gone.
Edie, with $1 million grant from Howard, started the Cantor Fitzgerald Relief Fund for the families of the loved ones who never made it out of the towers. In the first few months, the general public was extraordinarily generous, sending monetary donations, handmade quilts, and 30,000 teddy bears. And
the receptionist of the law firm that had given us space calls me and says, Edie, there's a delivery for you. And I said to her, well, a delivery of what? I'm not expecting anybody. She said, I think you better come downstairs. Then I went down, and there were thousands and thousands of teddy bears, all different sizes, Beanie Babies, big ones.
At that time, Cantor Fitzgerald had 805 children who lost at least one parent in the towers. The first Cantor Fitzgerald memorial service was in October of 2001.
So we took the teddy bears and we put them on every chair, because I felt very strongly that, you know, when you're grieving or unhappy, you need something to hold on to. And then in December, we rented out the ice skating rink at Chelsea Piers, and we decorated the entire place with all the teddy bears. We piled them up in like a huge mosh pit, and we let the kids jump in them. There was teddy bears just flying everywhere. There were teddy bears. That was probably the first time that I really smiled since, you know.
On September 13th, 2001, Howard promised the families 25% of the profit of the firm for 5 years and 10 years of covered health care. To date, the families have received $180 million from the Cantor Relief Fund. The Cantor Fitzgerald Relief Fund is no longer just for the 9/11 families.
Can't read mine, no, you can't read my poker face.
Once a year, they offer a charity day for many other nonprofit organizations.
When we got to the point where we felt that our families were financially in better shape, we said, you know what, we now know how to do this. And so we changed our mission statement to terrorism, natural disasters, and emergencies. On that day, everyone at the firm donates their salary, and 100% of the revenues of the firm come to the Relief Fund, and we distribute that money to the charities, the celebrities, and our clients.
To date, the Relief Fund has raised over $65 million on Charity Day alone and distributed at least $250 million. A positive part of the story is how the children of those families have grown up, and some of them have even found work at the firm.
It gives me great pleasure to be able to see the faces of, you know, those whose parents worked here before them.
Edie wrote a book called An Unbroken Bond about the journey of the families and the personal story of Edie and Howard as well, with a message that everyone grieves at their own pace.
Howard has an expression, he says, it takes a broken heart to heal a broken heart. And I have a broken heart. And so do my family members. And they help us every bit as much as we help them.